Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to do a 35,000 mile review of my Rivian R1T. I've had the truck a little bit over 2 years now, and I want to share my likes, dislike, and do I recommend it after 35,000 miles. First up, I want to talk about software. The number one thing about the Rivian is the software and the improvements that have been made over the last 35,000 miles or 2 years, almost 3 years of this vehicle. It's changed. It's changed the experience so much. With every software update, it's like a completely different experience. It changes the experience that much. Some of the changes to the software include, one of my favorite features is the update to the driver dashboard here. So you can see that you have off-road and on-road, but in on-road you have all-purpose, conserve, sport, and snow modes. If you see this animation of the truck right here, if we look at the animation here, like for Christmas, they added a Christmas tree here in snow mode. Little touches that add to the experience of the Rivian. How it tells you how high you are off the ground and your roofline height. Pretty neat. Another thing here, if you swipe over from that, then you get your complete dashboard of stats. Your battery temperature, your motor temperatures, tire pressures. You have your trips, A and B. When you're driving, you get regen status here on the wheels on each motor. It's a pretty neat little update. Another huge feature that has been added from software over this time, Apple Music. So now we have access to Apple Music. I know this doesn't sound like a huge deal to some people if you use Spotify. That's been in the truck for a while, but Apple Music has Dolby Atmos. So not only does it have updates to the software, it's updating the hardware as well. So you get Dolby Atmos. It's a lot more immersive. You can hear different parts of the music in a lot different of a way. It's enhanced the experience for sure. Okay, and not only is the software on the vehicle improved over this time, but the software to the app. The app has been updated to where it now lets you view the cameras, the gear, they call them gear guard cameras, but it's really the forward facing, rear facing, and side facing cameras used on the ADAS system now tie in where you can view those remotely. That's probably the biggest update. The app functionality has increased quite a bit. Some of the other software updates include being able to change the lighting color. So we can change the lighting color to a couple predetermined ones on the Gen 1s, such as this one. You get just a handful of colors that you can change this to, but this wasn't there before. This was all just standard white lighting. The other thing is the lock chime. Lock the vehicle or walk away, and it locks when you walk away. It used to be a bluebird noise is what they call it, bluebird. But now they've added, since the Halloween update, an owl. It's there all the time. You can change that where it's at daytime it's a bluebird, at night it's an owl. There's a holiday update for Christmas. It shows it's a jingle noise. It sounds like jingle bells chiming when you walk away. One of the other cool updates was when Halloween came around, they updated it for Halloween. Had a couple different modes, and I'll show those. But the different modes for Halloween and the Halloween modes that included the kit car or the Back to the Future. It was all pretty neat. It was kind of gimmicky, but the kids loved it, and they got a reaction out of most everybody that's seen it. Thought, oh, that's pretty neat. All right, thing number 2 I like about this vehicle, after the software we just spoke about, is build quality. Every time I sit in this R1T, it feels like a premium experience. The materials are top notch. The vegan leather, the wood trim, just the wood trim around the steering wheel controls, you feel that every time you get in. The metal handles, it's all a premium experience that adds up. And even after 35,000 miles, it's held up. It looks like it's brand new from the day when I got it. There's barely any wear and tear on this vehicle that you can visually see. Still feels like new, and I've put this thing through its paces. Third thing I like about this vehicle, it's made for adventure. What I mean by that, the crossbar design and the way these hook into the vehicle, you're able to put a rooftop tent on these crossbars, and now I can just easily remove this tent and put it back on with these crossbars. There's a ton of other functionality you could use this for, but the locking mechanism, that's pretty neat. The electric tonneau cover is awesome. It's so handy. It keeps everything secure and dry in the bed. The gear tunnel is perfect for storing gear and not taking up other space that otherwise maybe for storage for in the front or in the bed of the truck. It's a perfect off-roading and just weekend warrior stuff out on trails and things like that, but it's also luxurious. It's high-end on the inside, so you get that luxurious feel, but a lot of capability with this vehicle. And the last thing I like about this vehicle that you really can't talk about an electric vehicle without this is the cost. In particular, the cost per mile. Is the Rivian an expensive vehicle? Yes, but the cost per mile is very low. I am fortunate enough to have somewhere where I can charge and it costs me nothing on the electricity bill. I do have charging capabilities at home, but I rarely need to use that, only on occasions. So that has drastically dropped the cost per mile. Given that the other expenses normally would be maintenance, there are none with this vehicle. It's got only one service interval on this one in particular. It's a 100,000 mile coolant exchange for the battery or the motors. So factoring that in, it costs me almost nothing to drive this every day back and forth for daily commuting. On road trips, it costs a bit more. It's a little more in line with how much a tank of gas may or may not cost, but I don't road trip very often. It's once every couple of months. I may take a couple 100-mile road trip, and it's been perfectly fine. It gets anywhere I need to go. There's plenty of charging infrastructure anywhere I've ever been. I've been anywhere from the East Coast to West Coast, up and down. I've been all over in this thing, and not once was I worried about somewhere to charge. So that's usually a lot of people's concerns with the electric vehicles, but I have not found that to be an issue. And now with the Tesla adapter with this vehicle, it's opened up a whole nother charging network that actually makes this probably one of the top tier road tripping vehicles. All right, now on to the dislikes. Of course, not every vehicle is perfect. The R1T being one of the vehicles, it's not perfect. It's got its issues. The one thing and the only thing that I can ding on this is the service visits. I did have to have a couple of service visits, two pretty minor things that I was required to go in for. One being the tonneau cover. This was a customer campaign they did. They actually changed this out at no charge. The original tonneau cover had a bad design. Some of them worked pretty good, some of them failed pretty quickly. Rivian did a pretty stand-up thing and just replaced all the Gen 1 tonneau covers that were from the original launch edition vehicles. This one was part of that campaign. Even though it worked fine for me, they still replaced it. The unfortunate thing was I did have to drive, and it's a 2.5 hour drive for me to the service center. In this state, there won't ever be a direct-to-consumer model. It's going to have to be dealer-based. So I don't know that Rivian will ever have a dealership in the state I live in, but for that reason, I have to drive pretty far to a service center. That's a dislike. It's something you need to think about if you've got one near you, and if you do, how busy is it? They are expanding their service centers. It's come a long way. There's a couple of new ones in some very high traffic areas, I've heard. So the good part is it's on the upside. The bad side is it may not be a fix for everybody. I know anybody around me that buys one of these, if they ever have to go to service, it's going to be a drive. I will say they do have mobile service. They will come to you. I've had to have the 12-volt batteries replaced. This vehicle has two 12-volt batteries. They did go out. They did have to replace that under warranty, but they came here to do that. So that was actually a plus. They came out. I didn't have to go. That was huge. So service visits can definitely be a downside. I will say any interaction I've had with them in service, though, has been very top-notch. Their customer rating for me is a 10 out of 10. I can't say enough good things about the Rivian Service Center in Memphis. Your mileage may vary, but the service center here that I deal with is phenomenal people. So hopefully they do some of the training for the other facilities. Overall, despite the minor issues, I would highly recommend a Rivian. I would recommend a Rivian if you're in the market for an upper trim vehicle, a higher quality, higher price bracket vehicle. The Rivian is one you need to strongly look at. I would, based off of my 35,000 miles here that I've put on this, I would highly recommend it. If you're interested in buying a Rivian, you can use my link below and do some shopping there. You'll get 750 in store credit. Could buy you a charger or crossbars or things like that for your vehicle, for your Rivian. And that's it for my 35,000 mile review of my Rivian R1T. If you've got any questions or want to know more, comment down below. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button, and share this with your friends if they're thinking about purchasing a Rivian.